What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy New Year, everybody. Today is the last day of 2025. I have a few things that I want to share with you and tell you. First of all, I want to thank everybody for the support. About nearly 8 months ago, I made the decision to start doing daily videos on Psicoactivo. The decision came because when I started appearing on Christian Harloff's channel, I realized that I wanted to do videos for myself, like those type of videos. And the topics that I wanted to cover was very broad. As you guys can see, I cover the Nazca mummies, I cover consciousness, Dr. Greenberg, UFOs, ancient civilizations, ancient history, which is something that I'm gonna start covering more a little bit because I love that, and I think that is part of the whole story. I think if you guys take a look at the entire channel and the whole topics that I cover, I'm trying to tell an overall story and cover an overall story. I am not saying that I think a lot of this or all of this is true. All I'm saying is that people throughout history, many of them have thought it's true. I grew up in a religious household with a Catholic family, and the topic that I'm going to cover today has to do with that and the way I grew up and how when growing up in a Catholic household, there was always this image of Jesus Christ and the cross and God, and but then there was also a feminine deity figure, which in my case is the Guadalupe Virgen. And I want to talk about that today because I read Chris Bledsoe's UFO of God book, and he talks about one of these apparitions he had. It was a Marian apparition. It was a lady. And when he describes what happened in the book, he tells the story of how he first saw a bull that appeared to him. And then there was a lady with blonde hair. And apparently she's been appearing to him every Easter or something along those lines. That's what he claims in his book. And I want to, first of all, make a disclaimer that I find all of these stories very interesting. I find Chris Bledsoe's story very compelling, but I am always like this and I will always be like this. I obviously want to see for myself in order to fully believe, because out of everything that I cover in the UFO phenomenon and other topics of consciousness and ancient civilizations, only real proof that I've ever gotten that any of these anomalous stuff actually exists was when I was a psychedelic experiencer and I experienced what I think was telepathy because I heard someone else's thoughts in my head and that person heard my thoughts on their head. There were three of us. It was in February 14, 2006. Based on that, and that I do have proof that I experienced something like that, that opens my perspective to the rest of anomalous experiences, at least to just entertain them and um, investigate them, because if that happened to me, what else could be real? And that is, I think, a healthy curiosity approach that everybody should take, with also a healthy dose of skepticism, which is always needed. But there's a difference between healthy skepticism with an open mind and just flat out denialism. That is different. It's not the same thing. And I don't want to get into why denialism is used within these topics. It's like a gut reaction. It's all I'm going to say. And I get it. There's different reasons why it exists. Sometimes it comes out of fear. Sometimes it comes out of just unknowing things. But that is not important. I'm going to talk about this story of Chris Bledsoe and the lady. He's the one that can explain it better. So I'm going to play a clip from the Danny Jones podcast, and I'm going to play another clip from a different podcast. I want for you guys to know what Chris Bledsoe is talking about, and these premonitions that this lady mentions. How to interpret them, I don't know. I just think it's very interesting that Chris Bledsoe is talking about this. And I know from people that I've been speaking to within this whole community that Mr. Bledsoe is not the only one who mentions the lady appearing to him, and that it is possible that more people are going to come forward with their own account of this lady. But recently, Chris Bledsoe said this.
But what she did tell me was, and she said, and I had no clue what it meant. And still to this day, it was an alignment. She said, when the red star of Regulus, now I don't know what Regulus is, I don't know what all this is, but she said, when the red star of Regulus appears on the horizon before daylight, in the gaze of the Sphinx, at that time will be a new knowledge to come to this planet, to all humanity. So, what does that mean? I mean, is it the end of the world? Is it the beginning of a new world? What does it mean? And so I called a literary agent friend of mine, Lisa Hagen from Virginia, and I said, "Look, this is what I was told." And she said, "Let me do some checking." So she, being a literary agent, had a clientele of astrologers, right? And so she sent it all up to them, and they run it through these star charts. And come to find out, there is a real alignment, exactly like she told me, happening in Easter of 2026. And the whole government and all these people are predicting a huge change in 2026. I brought this out. She gave the message to me in 2013. She came back the next year, and that's when she told me that.
And then Chris Bledsoe also talks about the lady and that already famous podcast with Danny Jones that coincidentally, and I gotta mention this, you can't really find it in a search bar on YouTube. You have to go to Danny's channel to find that podcast. According to Danny himself, he thinks that happened because the name of Tyler from American Cosmic, who is an aerospace engineer who's supposed to be on the space program, was mentioned, his name. And that is something that I don't know if that was the effect, but that's what Danny Jones thinks. And that's why he doesn't mention that name anymore. But Chris Bledsoe mentioned it multiple times in that podcast. Here is Chris Bledsoe talking about the lady on the Danny Jones podcast, too. Here it is.
Well, let me tell you what she told me. She said that there was a shift in the powers of the heavens and that she had been away. The feminine energy was about to come back, and there wasn't no stopping it, and that there would be a shift, and that shift would be into Aquarius, and that the divine feminine would come back as the energy that would create 1,000 years of peace. That's what she told me. There'd be trouble first, but in time, that peace would come to this world.
All right, so it goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius,
Okay.
Aquarius, followed by Pisces.
Okay, so we got a long way to go before we're in Taurus again.
Yep.
Interesting.
But the lady in Egypt is depicted, Hathor, with bull horns or a bull next to her. Many countries, the lady is always depicted as with a bull, or either have bull horns with a solar disc or beside the bull. So it goes hand in hand with her throughout many countries.
Yeah. So about this lady and the way I grew up in Mexico, with a Catholic household. There is the story of another lady here in Mexico, and that's the one I'm going to start with. So you guys know what I'm talking about. This lady, initially, before the Spanish conquistadors came to Mexico and wiped out basically the majority of the civilizations here, the pre-Hispanic ones, when they arrived, they also had their representation of this lady, but there was like a mix between that Spanish lady or Virgin or whatever you want to call her with the history of Tonantzin, which means from the Mexican culture, from the Nahuatl, it means the mother of everything. She is a deity that is also known in other parts of Mexico from the pre-Hispanic time as Coatlicue, which is the goddess of fertility, life, and death. And there's another name that they use that is Citlalique, which is the goddess of the Milky Way, the lady of the stars. And apparently these pre-Hispanic civilizations also had these appearances from this lady. But it goes back way more than that. I started with Tonantzin, and then it became the Virgen de Guadalupe, which on December the 12th, they have a massive celebration in her name. She's the representation of the divine feminine, as Chris Bledsoe says. And the reason I wanted to start with this is because this name Tonantzin is one of the most important names in my life, personally. One of the most important people in my life. Her name is Tonantzin. A person in my life is named that way, and I'm starting to do all of this. I don't know. It's just a really weird coincidence and a nice synchronicity. But yeah, that is one representation that has been talked about and documented for many generations in Mexico. But there are others throughout history. And I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Chris Bledsoe mentioned Hathor, the Egyptian goddess. One of my favorite Twitter accounts actually did a nice summary of what this lady has been throughout history. So I'm going to talk to you about this. The account is named Open-Minded Approach, and I advise you guys to follow it, please, because there's a person who talks about a lot of this mythology and ancient history, and they combine also UFO lore and all that stuff. But here's what Open-Minded Approach says about this lady. Who was the lady in the Chris Bledsoe case? From what I've heard about this case, the lady is an apparition of an ancient goddess that appears in all religions and is connected to the primordial tradition. In my opinion, he saw 3 bright orbs because the lady represents the highest feminine energy known as the Tridevi. The Tridevi is in the ancient Vedas, which is the ancient mythology from India, is a personification of the 3 goddesses, Parvati, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. 3 orbs, 3 goddesses. The bull that he saw before the lady appeared is a personification of the bull Nandi, which was initiated as a deity by Parvati and Shiva. The owls that Bledsoe saw before his encounters represent Lakshmi. The same goddesses appear in Sumer and Mesopotamia, and the Tridevi represent Ishtar with the bull of heaven. She is often celebrated with her sister, Ereshkigal, which is represented by owls. In Egyptian mythology, it's Hathor, the mother of the bull Apis, which later merges with Osiris. The Tridevi are Isis and Hathor, which share the same characteristics as and Nephthys. In Greek mythology, especially in the secret Eleusinian mysteries, the lady is Hecate, the 3-faced goddess. In Celtic mythology, she's called Bridget, the triple goddess. She even became Saint Bridget due to her apparition, curing many diseases of the people among whom she appeared. Bledsoe was also cured by the lady. In Christianity, she is Mother Mary, but she embodies the same divine feminine energy that is linked to a specific aspect of our reality. From Shiva and the Vedic Tridevi to Ishtar and Dumuzid, Hathor, Isis, and Osiris, Hecate and Dionysus, Bridget and the Dagda, Mary and Jesus, all of them are connected to themes of resurrection, destruction, and rebirth, meaning the cycle of life. So, yeah, this is the whole history of this mysterious lady that Chris Bledsoe talks about. And I don't know what you guys think about this, but I thought I wanted to cover it from this perspective. I think it's a very interesting story. Right now, it's a story. But I also want to give it the attention that I think it deserves. You can take it as you want. You can take it as real, like Mr. Chris Bledsoe does, or you can take it as mythology, as a lot of people do as well. Nevertheless, I think it's a very interesting one. And something that I think it would be interesting to research deeper into, because why has so many millions and billions of people throughout history revered this lady mythos? Why? Is it possible that this lady existed? Is it possible that it is actually an ancient feminine deity from the Vedas mythology, which I think it's the oldest one to date? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is the Greek gods. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it was the Vedas, not the Greek gods. So that's where it comes from, maybe. But I want to hear your thoughts about this lady. What do you think it represents? Why do you think it has apparently appeared throughout history in so many civilizations, so many different interpretations of it? I want to hear your thoughts about this lady and about these premonitions that Chris Bledsoe talks about. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Chris Bledsoe's overall story? Have you read the book? I think it's a very interesting one. And just a final disclaimer, I am not a religious person. I believe in spirituality and I grew up with religion, but I don't believe in organized religion. I don't think it's been good for humanity overall. I think it's been a control system that many of the conflicts today come from that, originate from that. And I think we do need a kind of like a rude awakening to all of this so people can realize that the reality is that I think the power that we should be seeking, or the wisdom that we should be seeking for, does not come from text or some deity. I think it comes from within. That's my personal opinion on that. Whatever this lady may be or isn't, that's a different story. I'm going to keep researching it and reading about it because I find it really interesting, but I don't want to take any judgment or hurt any different philosophies from mine. I respect everyone. So yeah, that's what I want to say. That's what I want to share with you guys on this final day of 2024. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to please hit the subscribe button. We're about to hit 12,000. If we could hit it before the end of the day, we're like 40 away. That'd be really cool. So thank you for the support. And if you want to support the channel in any other way, there's a bunch of links in the description. You can take your pick. Thank you for the support again. And until the next video, which I think it's going to be on January 1st, I got a good one ready for you. I'll see you tomorrow, and Happy New Year, everybody. I love you all. Bye.